Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the We Bought a Franchise podcast. I'm Jack Johnson.
I'm Jill Johnson.
And we are here today with Trey Reinhart from Cascadia Pizza. You guys, Cascadia Pizza is one of the newest franchises in our portfolio, but it is so special to me and Jill because Cascadia Pizza makes beautiful Neapolitan-style pizzas, which any of you that follow us know it's a passion of mine. Trey, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Trey, what's it like sort of pioneering a new pizza franchise brand? Are you guys mobile? Is it mobile only? Do you guys also have retail locations?
So we have retail locations. I started out just having a brick and mortar, and I actually got my food truck on Thursday, so just a few days ago, and I'm excited to start that venture out. I kind of did it a little bit backwards. Usually, a lot of people start with a food truck, build the clientele, build the base, and then go into a brick and mortar. But I had a deal that came up that was kind of hard to pass down, so I kind of jumped head first and got a brick and mortar, and then now I got my food truck.
Very cool.
So Trey, Jill and I have been talking about this for years. We believe there is a massive hole. Pizza obviously is a well-developed sector in franchising, right? We've got a lot of big names out there, but there's not a lot in terms of Neapolitan. There was a company about maybe 8 years ago that came from the Menchie's folks, and they tried to franchise, but maybe they grew a little too fast. So there really hasn't been anyone since that's come into the franchise world on the Neapolitan side. For those of the listeners out there that are sitting there saying, what on earth is a Neapolitan pizza? How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? How I would describe our pizza is more artisan type. It's 100% wood fire. It takes like it's more floppy, I guess. Like New York style, you have flat and not a lot of curvature. But for Neapolitan, you kind of have to fold to take a bite out of. I would say there's like three main things about like our pizza. It's the red sauce, the dough, and the cheese. Um, Gosh, I don't really know what the difference would be between like how you would describe Neapolitan. It's mainly just traditional kind of pizza that you would see.
If you went to Italy, that's what you would get, right?
Exactly.
It's like the pizza that they're eating. And for you guys, how fast do you cook these pizzas?
It takes about 90 seconds to cook.
That's great.
Yeah.
And did the franchisor help you source like the oven and all that? Did they do that?
Yeah, so they helped me source the oven and also a wood guy because I I moved to a new part of the United States. Like I'm from Seattle. I moved down to the Portland area, and I didn't know where I could get wood. I didn't know where I could get a lot of oven, HVAC stuff, like random things. The franchisor helped me out a ton on kind of sourcing out where I can get wood, where I can get that pizza oven. And what's really cool is where they get their pizza oven is from Italy. So it comes from Italy, and then they ship it piece by piece in my case, and they sent out a team from New York that put it, like, assembled it all together in my restaurant. So it's really like closest thing that you can get to Italian is my oven. So
That's
yeah.
exciting. So Trey, take us back. Here you are, you own a pizza franchise. You're a franchisee. You're 6 months into your journey, yes?
Yeah.
So 6 months is usually one of the hardest parts of franchise ownership. How are you feeling these days?
I'm feeling good, man. Like I think the first month was extremely challenging even before we were opening, just getting all of the different red tape bureaucracy stuff with the city and the state, all the permits. I would say I've never been more stressed in my life for the first 3 weeks of just getting everything up and running, training the crew, and then I was working 2-3 hours before open to an hour and a half after close because I'm also my own accountant, bookkeeper. I'm the manager of the pizzeria. I did all the hiring, all the training. So I was wearing a lot of hats. luckily 6 months in, I'm starting to kind of outsource a lot of the small stuff because my team is now trained for the most part. But first 2 months were pretty challenging, and I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So it
We know.
was fun, but I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So
That's normal for starting a business, and
Very
we've been
normal.
there.
It gets easier
It
as you
does.
scale and you build revenue and add on more people to help. And so, Trey, what were you doing before franchise ownership?
so I it's kind of a random thing, but I was working at truck stops and gas stations. So completely different than food service. I was managing multiple like gas stations and big type of truck stops. I started working there when I was like 12, and
Wow.
I kind of just like worked all throughout college and then after college, and I really enjoyed it. I liked interacting with people, and it was a small family business, and then it got bought out. It became super corporate, and it wasn't really my type of thing anymore because I liked being able to know all the customers. I liked being able to be in the weeds in a lot of things. And then when it got so corporate, they said, "Hey, here's your box. Stay in your box. You can't do anything else." And I was like, "Well, I'm super ADHD. Like I need to move around." And they wouldn't let me. And my brother started Cascadia, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I really don't like what I do. I did like it. Now it's super corporate. I'd like to franchise from you because he was starting to get that ball rolling." And so I worked for him. I quit my job. So I worked for him for about 7 months just to kind of learn the craft because I had zero experience in the food industry, and also kind of my personality. I like to, just kind of build the skills,
Hmm.
and become really good at like understanding how a restaurant works and everything like that. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that can just jump in, but for me, I wanted to really like focus on learn how to all the facets of a restaurant. So worked for him for about 7 months, and then opportunity arose, and I took it. So yeah,
It's the
long
American
story short.
dream. And you
Yeah,
guys started in Seattle, right? Is that where the first location is?
yeah, Seattle area. Yeah.
To go.
We want
We
to
have to go
go.
try. We're so Jill's family is from Seattle, and we
Oh, cool.
go. We live in Boca Raton, Florida, but we go back to Seattle 2, 3
So we'll
times.
have to try it.
Yeah, is it where is it in Seattle?
So there's a store in Bellevue, Maple Valley, Enumclaw, and then a food truck in North Bend.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. So when you guys came into our portfolio, we were so excited about this because it really is very different for those of you out there. I think the points that Trey is making are very good. Now he started with a retail location, but I'll bet the franchisor is okay with you starting with a food truck
Yeah.
and scaling.
Well, you said he did it backwards.
You're right. You're a better listener than me.
But you are proof that you probably could do it both ways too. So
Yes.
there is an opportunity to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's very cool to be able to do that.
And do you guys with the truck? Did you get a new truck, a used truck? Tell me about what you guys look, because obviously it has to kind of tow the oven around. How does that work?
So I got a used truck,
Hmm.
and the oven's actually inside the truck, which
Cool.
is really nice. So you can all your cooking and stretching a pizza dough, topping it, expo can be done inside the truck. It's about like 16,000 pounds. It's a pretty big truck, but you don't need a CDL to drive it. So that's really nice. I think at corporate they have like 18-year-old girls sometimes driving it, and I remember when I first learned how to. They had a trailer. This is a long story short, I guess, but there was a girl that was like 17, 18, and she was parallel parking a food like a trailer and all this stuff. And I looked at her. I was like, I can't do this. What the heck? So um, it's easy to to pick up on how to drive, but it does take like a little bit of experience. So, sorry, what was your question again?
No, so
Yeah.
I'm interested in this because even for those of you out there, this ties into a question that a lot of prospective franchisees ask, which is around Section 179 tax deduction. So when you buy even a used truck, you can typically capture that as a write-off. So let's say your truck cost, and if you're buying it used, there's rules around how much you can collect, but it is a major tax write-off, things like that. So that's the beauty of being a business owner, especially in states where you have higher taxes, is a lot of these things that we buy for our businesses are great tax write-offs to knock down some of that tax burden. So for those of you out there, that is an advantage for a business like this, especially if you're going to deploy a fleet of trucks to go out there. Nice for revenue production, nice for writing off taxes. And so now you have the truck and you've got the location. Do you guys do alcohol or no alcohol?
In the restaurant, I do beer and wine.
Okay, cool.
And then on the food truck, occasionally we do like soda pop and water that we sell. I don't want to sell alcohol. I don't know what the laws would be for selling alcohol out of a truck. I'm sure they're a little bit more stringent, so I just kind of stay away from that and just focus on pizza. So
go ahead, Jill. I'm sorry.
So many questions.
So
with the truck, are you parking it in like a business park? Are you doing events? Like, how does that work with the truck?
So I'm kind of searching for events. I'm in the Willamette Valley, which there's a lot of wineries where I'm at. So I do a lot of wineries, elementary school, like carnivals or fundraisers. Then there's a lot of weddings too that I'm going to be doing. I think I didn't even have the food truck and I wasn't really advertising it. But I had like 6 people come up to me, maybe like the first month that I was opening saying, "Hey, we want to cater a wedding." I was like, "Hey, well, I don't have my food truck, but I'm going to get it in May. I would love to cater your wedding." So I have 6 organic leads without advertising for weddings. And like everybody loves pizza. So it works out for weddings. And that's where you make your bread and butter on those food truck shifts. It's like weddings aren't cheap. So you make good money on the weddings and and what's great too about food truck is you're getting paid to advertise. Mm-hmm. So every time I'm driving, I have a big thing that says Cascadia Pizza. And then like I'm going to customers for them to try our pizza. Now they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I love this pizza. Where are you guys located?" And then boom, now my restaurant sales are going up as well because I'm just building the brand.
Yeah. That's great. How big's the restaurant? How many people can sit in the restaurant?
So mine's 2 stories, so I can fit about 50 downstairs, and then I just opened up. It's like a rooftop bar type deal, and it's about 60 people up top.
Wow, how cool is that?
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. So the what's cool is a lot of Friday, Saturday nights I reach capacity. First few weeks I was reaching capacity because the franchise team really built us up on social media. So I opened up in November, which is the worst time to open up a restaurant. And it's usually like the worst months for restaurants is that winter time. And because of the social media marketing that they did, I was doing over 100K every month in sales from the get-go. My December and January were fantastic sales with 50 seats. I was, just packed every Friday, Saturday night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Congrats to you.
That just shows you the power. If you have great pizza, I think having the wine and beer is a crucial thing, especially, in any market, but where you are in particular. How hard was it to get the license for beer and wine?
So the OLCC, which is the Oregon Liquor Cannabis, anyway, it was a little bit harder than most states. It took me, I had to buy a bunch of temporary permit. It took 2 months to get from application process to get it finally approved. But I was able to do where I could do temporary permits. So it was $200 a week until I was finally approved for the yearly license. But that was probably the least challenging part of that. It was just more wait and see and then pay your fine. I had weird laws about how big my sign could be. And that was a huge pain in the butt to go through, as well as gosh, I'm trying to think what else. The HVAC. I'm in a meeting. Yeah. So the HVAC was really challenging. Same with the signs, but the liquor was kind of actually pretty easy. The liquor license
Okay.
for beer and wine. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So
So like I make Neapolitan pizza at home. It took me a long time to figure it out. Like I was terrible when I first started, but I loved it, right? Because we would go to these restaurants that make these great pizzas, and I'd be like, I've got to learn how to do that. How hard is it to teach people how to make good Neapolitan pizza? You guys have a good system in place for that?
yeah, it's a good system. I had the franchisors come down. They were here for the first probably couple weeks of training, maybe the first week, and it's definitely a little bit more challenging than like Domino's. You just throw it in the oven and let it sit.
Right.
Um, like for us, it's crazy on how like you gotta put your wood in a certain place, and that helps it breathe better, and you get a better flame. Doing the making sure the temperature of the floor is not too hot or too cold, but making sure the air temp is right on point too. So there's a lot of like little things. There's probably a million little things, but I we have high schoolers making pizza and they can pick it up. So what the the training part is just like anything. It just takes time.
Yeah.
I would say I had a good crew that had pizza experience in the past, so it took them probably like a month to really like those people to really get good at making pizza. For the kids that are 16 years old, it's their first job ever. They don't really have any experience with food, even at home. That has taken like probably good 2.5 months
Yeah.
of training. Yeah.
Not bad though.
Yeah. I mean, didn't you work like some type of like thing where you were making pizza,
I
but
was
you
making microwave pizza in a microwave. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes a toaster if I
what was
got
that?
it.
Is that like
I
at a
was
country
at
club?
a country club snack bar.
Jill was in the snack bar. You could make pizza. What else did you make?
We made sandwiches and the big pretzels. I had to microwave those. And actually, you had to then wet it with paper towel and sprinkle the salt. So it was kind of complicated.
Look at that methodology. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I was a teacher learning how to do it. So we all got to start somewhere.
I mean, that's where my first job was making pizza
So you were
for.
a round table.
Yeah, it was called Round Table Pizza, and I remember they had like the assembly line, and it was like, okay, here's how much cheese, here's how much topping. So it was all very much structured, which was great. But there's something here for those of you out there listening. I'm going to tell you, Jill and I, for those of you that are new to the show, we are franchise consultants. We've helped over 600 people become franchise owners over the years. We're franchise owners. Neapolitan pizza is a very unique space, and it's one that nobody owns. And you're hearing it here. Look what Trey is doing in just a few short months. Trey, you'd never operated a restaurant before, and look at the scaling that you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's took a lot of work, but we made it so far. So
Yeah. Well, what would you say with that in mind? What were things that surprised you that maybe you didn't know going in, both positive and negative?
uh, I guess like the thing that surprised me the most was all of the like red tape. I mean, with the government and getting all the permitting and all that stuff. As someone that's never owned a business, I had no clue on all of the paperwork that's involved, whether it's with the food department or with just just everything that revolves around that. I have an accounting degree, so like I thought bookkeeping was going to be easy, but taxes are way different as a business owner. And you know, I I felt like I learned a lot in school, but they didn't really teach you how to run a business that well. So I would say those are like the two most surprising things for me is just like really learning how to navigate the red tape in the area, and each city and each state is different, but Oregon is a little bit more challenging, I think, than a lot of states. Yeah, there's just a lot of dumb things in my opinion, but like I would say that's the most surprising thing. I guess like shoot, um, yeah, I don't know. Everybody loves the pizza, so I think training is a lot harder. On the hardest part is you're gonna make mistakes and make bad pizzas, But training your staff on, hey, what's a good pizza? Like what does this look like? How do you inspect it before we give it out to the customer? That was a hard hurdle because a lot of people go into like a 9 to 5 job and they don't really look intricately at every single pizza that comes out. So that was hard to train people. I'm like, hey, um, what's a good pizza? What's good customer service look like? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, hardest thing for sure was the red tape
That's
dealing with the
the
city and
thing
state.
with Neapolitan is you got to make sure you've got that right leopard spotting. It's got to
Mhm.
have it's that there's intricacies to it, and I'm glad to hear that you guys are taking that in as part of the details. And you're so right. I mean, there are so many franchise owners that Jill and I talk to that do not know their numbers. That if you say give me a P&L, they're like, hold on, let me talk to my accountant. Um, you've got to have that stuff. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to, in my opinion, you better be checking that P&L 3 times a week. I think if you can keep your labor, not talking about like your manager or something like that, but the talent that's making the pizza, if you can really pin that to 25% of your gross revenue, I think you're doing great. But yeah, the magic to success in business ownership is knowing your numbers and having urgency around sales. What does this week look like? What does next week look like? How are we doing compared to last month? Knowing your numbers, being urgent to drive sales and grow. That's really the key to being successful. And it sounds like you guys are on the right track to doing that.
Yeah. What's great is, I mean, we have, I had to carry a heavy labor for the first few months because of training, where I'm creeping up into that 33%, labor to revenue, which is not where you want to be as a restaurant. But as my team's gotten better, and then I can kind of just have aces play, the best player at each position, where now I'm at 23, 24% labor. And that's including, all my admin. I'm doing most of the admin myself, but it's including, all the front of house staff, the dishwasher person. It's where as I've gotten better, my labor's gone down, my food costs have gone down as well, just because I'm not throwing away as many pizzas. I'm at like 21%, 21.5% on my cost of goods. So like a pizza might cost just a few dollars to go out, but we're selling it for $14. So it's we're in a really good Neapolitan style. It's high demand, it's cheap to make, and you can sell it for a lot higher price point than a Domino's.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, and you're doing great. I think honestly, in your first year, if you're even under 40% on the labor, you're great. Because like you said, you could have time to figure it out. And I think by year 2, if you can get it to 25%, which it sounds like you're already almost there, then you're doing it right. I mean, it sounds like everything, that you're doing is growing in a very positive direction. Now we just need to come try some of this pizza.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you got to. I'm in Salem, Oregon. So if you ever find yourself in Oregon or go up to Seattle or Idaho, there's a franchisee in Idaho as well.
Very
So
cool.
it's really
Yeah,
good pizza.
we're going. We're going to be in Seattle next month. We're going to go and we're going to document it. But this has been so great. Thank you for joining our podcast and just to share with everyone out there. For those of you that are interested in Cascadia Pizza, you know the drill. Text us at 305-710-0050. We'd be happy to check and see if your territory is still available. My thoughts are is that this one's going to grow pretty quickly. So it's a good opportunity to get your hat in the ring and start exploring this really unique franchise opportunity in a proven sector. Jill, any other thoughts, questions?
No, I think it's really exciting. We've been kind of waiting for this for a while. So we've had a lot of like prior interest. We have obviously interest ourselves personally just because we love it. So it's really fun to hear your story and your guys' success. And we wish you guys all the best. And let's see how many we can help you guys sell.
Absolutely right. Thank you for joining our podcast.
Thanks, Trey.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Trey. Great to meet you. Thanks again.
Looked at all the options and we found Pink's Windows down in Austin. Now we got a truck.